Well, everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer. Welcome to Lost in the Wasteland, my weekly interview show where I have a guest and we get to get a deeper understanding of their perspective on movies. And this week we have Alice joining from Australia and my fellow SiftPop writer. So, Alice, thank you so much again for coming on for a second round.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Excited to be on.
Awesome. So before we get into the questions, like I always do, let my guests shamelessly plug whatever they would like to shamelessly plug. So go ahead.
Oh, if you insist. Yeah, so I mean, on Instagram and Letterboxd, that's probably where I'm most active socially. So you can follow me there at Ali G Mick, Mich, which is just shortened version of my name. But otherwise, I, like Shane mentioned, I am a writer at SiftPop.com. I'm often on the SiftPop podcast, so you can find me as a regular guest there. I'm also on SiftPop Writers Room here and then. And then
we'll
I
be doing,
write
rethinking the 2021 Oscars.
I have so many thoughts about the last year's Oscars. That's gonna, you know how last time it was like a 3-hour podcast, or I wouldn't be surprised if we
5 hours
that this year.
later.
Yeah. As long as the like actual Oscars, you can watch it in tandem with the last year's broadcast. But I also do a monthly column for SiftPop called One Stop Pop, where I, based on whatever was most popular the month before in film or TV, I recommend other media based on that. So this month, and it should be coming out very soon, if not out already, is Spider-Man, of course. But don't worry, I haven't just recommended 4 other Spider-Man things. That's, looking at different themes. Sometimes I look at different actors or writers or that sort of thing. And then I also write reviews as well. So my most recent one was being The Ricardos. My next one was supposed to be Morbius, but that's obviously changed.
We have discussed that already,
yes,
and
we
it has reached New Mutants territory of how many release dates could it possibly have.
Yep, which gives a lot of confidence into the film. And then what I'll be doing instead is I'll be reviewing the new season of Ghosts. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah, like new show, American remake of a British show. And it's actually really a quick hint. I am enjoying it, but I won't say anymore. But yeah, that's a quick about me where you can find me.
I've seen that pop up a decent amount. I have to add it to my watch list.
It's actually like really enjoyable. I would attribute it similarly to how The Office US was like actually good, even though it was based off the British version.
There you go, because a lot of the times we just mess it up.
Well, yeah. Sorry, but yeah.
It happens.
It happens.
If you want to hear some thoughts about remakes, you can check out my channel this Tuesday, because my friend Vinny and I, for my new Wasteland Talks show, where I take a topic each week, discuss when should you make a remake. And
I would say there's like 5%. Yeah.
If it's great, don't do it.
Pretty much.
If there's things not to improve upon, then why? Because money.
Because money.
But anyway, so Alice, my first question for you is, what's a previously released film you have never seen before that you're most excited to check out?
I feel like this is one that's been on my watch list for so long, and I'm still embarrassed that it is. It's Schindler's List. I need to watch it. It's like crowding out my, IMDb top 250, where it's just this empty little movie that I haven't seen yet. And I own it on Blu-ray. I've owned it on Blu-ray for years, but I'm just, you're never in the mood to be like, you know what I want to watch tonight? A 3-hour Holocaust movie in black and white that is just pure depression from everything I've heard of it. So yeah, that's it. I am going to get to it. I am, before I die. That's my aim at least.
I've watched that movie twice in my life.
Yeah.
And I've watched it both in high school, because I don't know if they still do. I would hope so. But, in America, when they teach about the Holocaust, they show you Schindler's List.
Yeah.
So my brother was sick and out of school when they watched it when he was a senior in high school. So then he had to watch it at home, and I watched it with him. And then a year later, I got to experience that again while at school.
Yeah.
And it just, it's a great film, but you need to mentally prepare yourself for that. So like, I was waiting to be like wide eye look at what you're going to say. And then when you said, I'm just like, I get it. because I haven't watched that movie in 12 years. Because
it's just not something that you're like, oh, I'm in the mood for Schindler's List tonight. You know, it has to be an event. You have to put it aside. You need to just have the 3 hours, possibly have a comedy lined up afterwards. And I know all these things and I've never even seen it. Like, I will.
The best double feature is to watch Schindler's List, then the Seinfeld episode about how I think it was Jerry made out at Schindler's List. He's like, but we never get enough time. So like he's out with a date and they make out at the movie. He's like, oh, what movie did you see? Schindler's List. Becomes a whole entire thing. It's like, how did you make out during Schindler's List?
Just, you got to take it when you can. It is a long movie. Look, it's a long movie. That's why.
Well, that too, because like if this was like a hard to watch 90 minutes, like that's one
you
thing.
Can handle that. Yeah. That means that you just need to set aside 3 hours, 90 minutes for the movie, 90 minutes for a different movie to completely take your mind off it.
I was waiting for you to go for 90 minutes to watch the movie and then 90 minutes to cry after, but I get
that too. Look, whatever your coping strategy is.
There you go. Now, flipping it a bit. So then what's an upcoming film that hasn't released that yet that you're most excited about?
Oh, Doctor Strange Multiverse into Madness. I am so excited. I've said this many times ad nauseum. People are probably sick of hearing it, but obviously big Benedict Cumberbatch fan. This is a visual format, so I can show you. That is my wallpaper. It is quite, so that's Benedict Cumberbatch right there. And
oh my God.
Back in 2014, and it's been my wallpaper since, because I'm like, I don't want have anything else I'd want to replace it with. And so obviously when he was, cast in the MCU, I was like, yes. And then just things to do with multiverses and alternate realities and shifting concepts. That's exactly up my alley. Not to mention the fact that, since Spider-Man has come out, that, not to spoil it, but it's my favorite movie of the year so far, because it was just what an experience, being in that cinema, it was actually just a good movie on its own. Plus you've got all the fan service. And I feel like Doctor Strange is going to be taking that to the next level. And I'm just so excited.
And to quote the trailer, things just got out of hand.
I know. Oh my gosh. Which I also have to say, if people haven't seen What If, you definitely have to watch it before this comes out. And my favorite episode of What If is the Doctor Strange episode. So
it's hard to like, I feel like the only two for me that would even be in contention as the top episode is that. And then Ultron versus the Watcher.
Yeah, like literally.
But that Doctor Strange episode was something else. I'm like, I enjoyed Captain Carter. I enjoyed this. And then the Doctor Strange episode happened. You're just like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is a whole other
Don't lull
thing.
me don't lull me into a false sense of security like that. How very dare you?
So Multiverse of Madness is going to be insane. And I cannot wait for it.
They're doing a bunch of reshoots to add in cameos. So, and also, let's not forget the fact that this is directed by Sam Raimi, who did, one of the most beloved Spider-Man, I will say trilogy, because people do still love Spider-Man 3. They recognize that it's not as good, but the memes that have been birthed from that movie make it worth it.
See, if you watch it and skip from right before the dancing scene up until the bell tower scene, movie gets a lot better. Yeah.
Just ignore the Venom, like the actual Topher Grace Venom bits, and then it's pretty good. But Sam Raimi's doing it, and he's the best at PG-13 horror, horror that Marvel would be fine with. Because I have a feeling that Scott Derrickson left because he was trying to do horror, and Marvel was like, all right, we need to make sure kids can go see this.
And so it's like, now I'm going to make Black Phone, which absolutely terrifying.
Exactly. So I think that Sam Raimi's a good choice. Plus, they've been, like I said, reshooting to add in cameos because of the fact that this has been reversed in the timeline. So I'm thinking, are we going to get some Spider-Man cameos? Are we going to get, people have been saying, yes, oh my God. Well, I'm genuinely Fantastic Four has to make an appearance soon, right? They announced the movie. somewhere they need to make an appearance. And it's before X-Men. X-Men hasn't been announced yet,
I
but
think that
the two things that have are Deadpool and Fantastic Four. So they need to start showing presence, right?
I feel like they might pop up in Ant-Man.
That's what others have said, yeah.
But we'll see. And honestly, for all of you out there watching this, if you want to spread some theories, who's Bruce Campbell playing? Put the answers in the comments.
He's going to play a version of Doctor Strange. He's going to play a version of Doctor Strange. Have you seen that they've already released the Defender Strange? Like the toy prototype's been released. So
toys ruin everything.
I know.
You spoil everything.
I know.
Except
but I think it's going to be
one time for Iron Man 3 when they had the giant scorpion mech that the Mandarin came in. Boy, was that wrong.
Yeah. So this could be wrong too, but you never know. I'm just excited because I don't know how they're going to fit everything they clearly need to fit and do with this movie. But
this is going to be close to 3 hours.
Yeah, to be honest, I just feel like all of them are going to end up being close. Unless it's an origin story, it's going to be a 3-hour movie. Just buckle in, folks.
Well, it's funny because apparently Taika Waititi's first cut of Ragnarok was 90 minutes or like 100 minutes. And they're like, gotta add more stuff into this. He's just like, but why?
Yeah, exactly.
Because going into this year,
yeah,
Thor Love and Thunder was like leagues like my most anticipated Marvel movie. Because I just loved Ragnarok so much.
Yeah.
But then after Spider-Man, now I'm kind of just like, I can't wait for Multiverse of Madness.
I'm the same. Thor Love and Thunder is like second tier, like it's just, and to be honest, they just keep swapping in my brain because the more, when I learn about Thor Love and Thunder stuff, I'm like, oh, that's so exciting. And then I learn more about Multiverse. And I have to say, even the poster of Multiverse of Madness is just, it's so cool.
It's not the same cardboard cutout of the same exact poster from every other Marvel movie?
Which is exciting. Like, it's,
I saw that poster. I'm like, that's classy. I like that.
I would have that on my wall. That's a good poster, It's not just people in a pyramid. We're actually in a different phase now, guys, and that's showing it,
There we go.
But yeah, exactly.
Now, it's funny because we did mention remakes a little bit, and most of them suck. But Alice, what is one film that you would actually remake?
Black Cauldron, Disney's I think it's 1986 or 1987. Black Cauldron. This was a movie that I grew up thinking I loved it because I watched it as a kid, and it was equal parts horrifying for children and equal parts like exciting. And then you watch it as an adult, and you're just sitting there going, "Oh, that's not as good as I remember." But there's good parts to it. When you watch it, you can see that they were just. Obviously, it was a big mess at the time. This was before the Disney Renaissance. They were going to give up on animation, which, thank God they didn't because we've gotten a lot since then. But I can see brilliance in it. And I just feel because this is meant to be a series of novels as well. So it could be like a long series. It could be a fantasy series.
Oh, they'll make them if they make money. They'll make 50.
I would watch them. And I feel like everyone knows Black Cauldron, but no one really revisits it. And I think that's a perfect property to actually remake and do it well. And so I would say Percy Jackson, but they are currently redoing that.
Yes, for Disney Plus, right?
Oh, and Rick Riordan's like, I'm involved in this. I have final say. I'm J.K. Rowling this. Like, you are not taking this away from me again. But no, Black Cauldron, I feel, also has that. It has the ability, especially with fantasy. I feel like it's always like 50-50 whether or not fantasy properties are actually going to be good. And I just think we need more. And so that would be a perfect one.
So what you're saying is Disney should go to their animated features that were flawed and make them better.
Yeah.
Instead of remaking all the ones that were great to begin with.
Yeah. And doing play-by-plays with like one extra scene. Yes, I do. I am saying that.
So for me personally, I love the Jungle Book remake. Because I'll watch the original Jungle Book and sit there for 75 minutes. An
hour.
It didn't really do anything.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a perfect movie to remake. Because when you actually go back and watch it, I rewatched it recently as well, and I was like, it's a little bit racist and a little bit sexist and a little bit off, but they actually remade it more in line with the Rudyard Kipling book.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like, that's exactly, and they're remaking Sword in the Stone. Perfect thing to remake as well. Dumbo should have just left that alone. Movie was The new one's even worse. Like, but there are ones that you can explore further, specifically ones that actually have characters that have, themes and dimension that weren't really fleshed out in the 60-minute original presentation. So, yeah.
So all you need is a mafioso giantificus and just have Christopher Walken voice them, and then you win.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of the most inspired changes to that movie, and I absolutely loved every second of it.
And yet some people still hated it, which just goes to show some people are silly.
Makes me sad.
Yeah, now, exactly.
I know in the first round interviews, I asked everybody what's their earliest memory of going to the movies. I feel like we're at the time where it's a weird time to go to the movies. So let's think about some of our fondest memories.
Yeah.
So Alice, what is your fondest memory of going to the movies?
Well, I could say Spider-Man, but that's too easy. So I'm going to go back to 2011 and I'm going to say Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, because that was my first experience in a cinema of that kind of energy that we've since had on things like Endgame and Spider-Man and that, where it's been years of culmination. And I mean, Harry Potter's a unicorn. They managed to make 8 decent movies that all tell a story and they didn't screw it up. And and also people grew up with it. So when the first one came out, I was like 6, and then I was, 17 when the last one came out. So my generation was literally defined by Harry Potter in a big way. And so when this final one came out, and it was, I remember when the book came out, me and my mum went to the bookstore and then we sat in our chairs literally all day. We didn't speak to each other. We just sat and read the book. Like, that was the day. And that same feeling was there with Deathly Hallows Part 2, where we were like, oh my God, we're going to see all this stuff. We're going to see Neville finally, become Neville. We're going to see Ron Hermione kiss. We're going to see Voldemort get defeated. We're going to see the big, resurrection stone scene. Like, it was so exciting. And then I remember in the cinema, everyone, all the big bits, everyone was clapping, everyone was cheering. The energy in the room was so exciting. I went with friends and we all dressed up. And it was the first time I really experienced that. And it was something else entirely. Only bit, I also have a fond memory of the fact that, in the book, if people haven't read it, when Voldemort dies, he just dies. Like, he's just a body on the ground. And the point is that he was never more than a man. While, as we know in the movie, he goes all Infinity War and turns to ash.
Yeah. So just flakes away.
Yeah, and I remember everyone in the cinema, when he started dying, everyone was like, woo! And then everyone slowly petered out because he was just fading away. And everyone's like, okay, this isn't as impactful of a moment as, for example, when Mrs. Weasley kills Bellatrix Lestrange. And that's an awesome moment where it's like, yes, she did it. While this one was like, yes, okay. Oh, he's flaking. Anyway, still exciting. But yeah, that's definitely it.
I remember seeing that. And I think that was literally the first time I ever teared up in a theater, was Always. And
yes, that was another moment I was so, because in the book, it's like a whole chapter of context. And you're like, how are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? And they did it.
And they did it.
Alan Rickman. Oh my goodness.
And so I'm going to go out on a limb. Well, actually, have you gotten to see the Harry Potter reunion?
Of course.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure how they released it in Australia or not.
No, but we have something that all the HBO stuff comes to a streaming service we have here. They own it. Yeah.
Well, when I realized how they were going to end that reunion on one specific word, I'm just I hate you, and then I just start crying in my recliner.
Me and my best friend were watching it, and then when it's expecto, and we were like, no, don't you dare, how dare you? And we're just, especially because we had just started crying from when the guy who plays Hagrid, Robbie Coltrane, and he's like, I won't be around in 50 years, but Hagrid will. We were like, oh, yeah.
Oh, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they got me so hard.
I know.
Now, we've obviously talked about a lot of films that had a lot of hype around them.
Mhm.
But what's a film that you watched that really exceeded your expectations?
Well, I will say going into this movie, I'm going to give a bit of a lead up before I announce. Going into this movie, I knew nothing. I was out with my dad, and we always, whenever we caught up, we'd like go see a movie and then, have like a lunch or dinner or something. And nothing else was out except for this movie at the time. And we were like, oh, well, looks decent. I hadn't seen the trailer. I was just going off the poster and very little information. That movie was Sicario. I knew nothing. I went in like blind and I was like, what an experience to walk in blind, completely blind. And obviously at this point, I had seen Prisoners, but I hadn't clocked Denis Villeneuve yet. And this
Yeah.
is the movie that made me clock Denis Villeneuve. And he's now like my favorite director. So obviously, it started something. And that scene at the border and in the caves, they were two of the most masterful scenes of directing, of cinematography. And I've never been more tense. And my dad was just like, I can't handle this. And I'm like, you're gonna be fine. It was so thrilling. That has to be my answer, Sicario.
A film to go in blind on.
Yeah.
With no warning to what
Yeah.
you're about to experience.
Exactly. Literally. All I had was the poster. I was like, oh, Emily Blunt.
Oh, this is an Emily Blunt movie. This will be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just feel so
shock. I was in shock after the movie.
There you
go. But then I also wanted to turn around and rewatch it,
There you go.
Yeah.
But which is interesting because I know we obviously talked a decent amount about Harry Potter, which I know I was out to Walmart like when it opened every morning when those books came out. But what's a written work that you would really love to see adapted into a film?
Yeah. So this is my favorite book. It's called The Call. It's written by, I think his name's pronounced Peter O'Guillan. I'm not 100% sure. But if you look up The Call and then Peter as Peadar, it'll come up. Mm-hmm. I think this book is fascinating. I couldn't stop thinking about it after I read it. And I'll tell you about like what it's about in a moment. But I also half think it's kind of unfilmable. But if you did it intelligently, you could. So it's a young adult horror dystopia fantasy novel. And basically what it is we are in a dystopia where Ireland has been cut off from the world. And what's happened is the Fae, who were previously banished to another realm, they've managed to kind of come through and cut off Ireland, and they want to reclaim, their country and their land. And what they've created is this impossible to escape or enter Ireland. So the people within it are now stuck there. But what also starts happening is the call. So when someone turns 14, and I think it's 14 and 9 months, or maybe just on their 14th birthday, you disappear for 3 minutes and a few seconds, right? All your clothes, and you show up in the Fae realm. You then have to survive for 24 hours. So it's only 3 minutes and something in the real world, but in the Fae realm, it's 24 hours, no clothes, nothing, on your own in a realm that is literally designed to kill you. Everything is dangerous. Everything wants to kill you, including the grass, the trees. Nothing is edible. And obviously the Fae, their entire purpose is to either find you and kill you, but they don't want to just kill you. They want to morph you too. So the reason I kind of say it's unfilmable is because some people come back alive, but they've been morphed. They've been altered, so warped. So for example, they turn people. All the animals in the Fae realm are people that they've warped into animals. So they like dogs. They've like extended the jaw and like broken their bones and reshaped them so that they act and think and are dogs. But basically the animals that populate the realm are people who tried to escape Ireland on like ships and planes and stuff. And then they took them and warped them. And so, there are spiders that are actually people like a head with like the ears extended into legs and stuff. And yeah, it's when you're reading it, I remember I was reading it on the train and I'm like, oh, people don't know what I'm reading. I feel like I shouldn't be reading this in public. But basically that's the setting, and the book follows a girl who's about to turn 14. So since then it's been a few years, and they've set up survival schools so that kids are trained in, you know, the ability to survive when they get called. And we follow this girl who has polio. She had polio. And so she, you know, walks with a limp. She has crutches, and everyone's like, why did her parents let her live? She's going to die as soon as she gets called. And it's all about, you know, it's showing her training. It's showing the people around them. You also have chapters where you see her friends, because they all are turning 14 as they start to get called, and their experience. Some of them immediately die, some of them survive and then die, some of them survive the whole time. And then you obviously are leading up to her call as well. And it's so interesting. The world building is something else. It's not even a long book. It's like 300 and something pages. I've sped through it so quickly, but I would love to see this made into a show or a movie, because I think it would be so intriguing and something that hasn't been done before. Especially because the Fae, you know, people often see them as very regal and distant, and like in Lord of the Rings, while these ones, they've been driven insane due to longing and due to being shoved into this other realm. So they don't think clearly, and they're beautiful but horrific, you know. And so yeah, that's my book.
Has been
I
added
would like adapted. Yeah.
to my list.
Yeah. I apologize if you have any nightmares, Shane.
I'll 100% blame you and message you through Slack.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
it. So that definitely sounds really interesting, and
yeah,
so many ways for somebody to mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they would have my money.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what? Get like Robert Eggers to make it.
Yeah.
Which,
look, I'm not a fan of The Lighthouse. I think it's so boring, but if The Northman's good, sure. I will hold my judgment until I see The Northman.
Father, save mother, kill Fjolnir.
I was literally like, how can he make this boring? He'll find a way, but I hope he doesn't. I hope it's actually...
Have you seen The Witch?
The Vivitch, you mean? I've seen parts. Yeah, I've never seen the full thing, but I've seen parts of it. That one I understand for what it is, because it's all Puritan and that sort of thing. The Lighthouse was just... I was in pain in the movie.
So my friend Paige, who was on this week's episode, despises The Lighthouse, and both my fiance and I love it, and my fiance will taunt her with it. I would not do that to her.
Yeah.
But Jess would. And like, right, one of my Christmas gifts was like a fun drawing of The Lighthouse. Jess got me one of What We Do in the Shadows, and it's a bunch of portraits on a wall of all the characters. Love it.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the other one's just the lighthouse, and it's just the two of them outside the lighthouse in a storm, and I'm just like, yep, outright. We even have a little painting with the two of them replaced by cats.
Wow, you guys really like The Lighthouse.
We also really like cats. Not the movie,
like
though.
The animals or the movie? Okay, yeah, okay. I was like,
we do not speak of the pandemic-causing movie, cats.
Yeah, we have upset the forces of nature. They created a virus to kill us off.
Yep. Thanks, cats. Now, shifting gears a bit for the last couple of questions. So it's interesting because with Sakara, you said you didn't see a trailer or anything. I try to avoid trailers, honestly, at this point. Like, I think The Northman was the only trailer that I watched that got released online in like a month. Because I'm just like, you know what? If I see it in a theater, I'll see it in a theater. But what's your favorite movie trailer?
Well, that was a hard one, because I feel like there's so many that are really cool, but I wanted to actually think about one that impacted me a lot. And going back to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, its trailer was the first time that I like egged onto trailers. You know, I realized, you know, I wasn't just watching them passively, where I was seeking them out. And this was back when, you know, we had the old Windows 98 and, you know, you had to download video files. YouTube was barely functioning at that, because this was 5 or something. And so, or 2004, 2005. Yeah, exactly. So I remember when the trailer came out, and it was so thrilling. And, you know, I still remember the way it ends, because it ends with, you know, everything's going to change now, isn't it? And you're just, and then also there's the Dumbledore line that's highlighted. That's like, you'll have to come to a day where you have to decide between what is right and what is easy. And I remember being like, oh, dragons, and oh my god, this is so exciting. And there's little 10, 11-year-old me being like, oh my god. And I saw that movie 7.25 times in theater. A quarter because I ended up throwing up, and then I was like, clearly that's a sign I've seen this too much, but because I ate something bad beforehand. But yeah, that movie, that trailer, I don't know what it was, but it was so impactful to my being.
And it's funny, it's one of those lines in a trailer. It's like, things are really going to change now on our, and it's like, it sure is.
Yeah.
And that kind of, so like a trailer line like that impacted me is like, I remember seeing the Last Jedi trailer, and when Luke's like, this isn't gonna go the way that you think, and I'm like, in hindsight now, I'm like, y'all should have listened.
Yeah. I know, because that was the first, that's the first movie where like people actually die and, things end badly kind of. And, especially as a 10 and 11-year-old, understanding the concept of death and darker themes, it's, everything changed.
For us, for these characters, everything.
I know, exactly.
Now, I'm a huge fan of music, and I love music in movies. What's your favorite use of like an actual song in a movie?
Yeah, that one was hard for me because I kept being like, oh, I really love this song. Oh, that's score. Oh, I really love that score. I was even going to say, I was going to say like Encanto, for example, because I really love the songs are still in my head. I saw that 2 months ago now. I still wake up with the songs in my head. It's insane.
They count. They're songs.
Yeah, but they're written for its score. Like, it's
fair.
But I did think of one. Time in a Bottle for X-Men Days of Future Past. That, I mean, now it's been replicated across so many films since then, but that scene, it's one of the first, I feel, examples in modern cinema where they're using an alternate, almost like tempo song for what should be an exciting action theme. It's not just like, it's actually like calm and quiet, and it actually shows the perspective of Quicksilver, where everything would move slowly and he'd have time to do what he wants. And it's like literally the perfect song. I feel like when the music supervisor or whoever it was decided on that song, they took the day off. They're like, I've achieved what I need to achieve.
I've accomplished what I needed to.
Yeah.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Exactly. And so I just think it's such a brilliant use of alternate tempos, of really taking you into the shoes of a brand new superhero at the time, and introducing them and what they do and their personality and everything. And I just think it's a brilliant use of a song.
As a child who listened to a lot of Jim Croce, I was like, oh my God, sitting there at the midnight premiere and just like, are they really using this song right now?
Yeah.
And for the record, were you doing the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack? You were doing the
mayhaps.
Maybe, because boy, is that intense.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's just, anyway, that was a great use of song, and I put it on my Spotify. It's still on my Spotify to this day.
They even tried to replicate it in the next movie. Was Sweet Dreams.
I know. And that's what I mean. Even they tried to replicate it. And it's just like, no.
Like, what else are we supposed to do with Quicksilver?
You know what it is? It's time in a bottle and it's lightning in a bottle. Don't replicate it. Do your own thing.
Well, and to be fair, they didn't try to do it in Apocalypse. Oh, no, that was Apocalypse, wasn't it?
That was Sweet Dreams. Yeah, they did. And then let's not even talk about Dark Phoenix. Yeah.
He's running around and then Apocalypse is just like, staring at him. He's like, oh no. Exactly. And then they realize that he's too overpowered in Dark Phoenix, and they're like, let's break your leg or something and then make you disappear for the rest of the movie. And then that's where they failed. I'm just like,
that's not the only place they failed in Dark Phoenix.
That was like one of like plenty.
I think that was it was just one of 50 million.
I think they messed up when they're like, let's have these chameleon aliens instead of just having Dark Phoenix as the villain, because
it's all right. I'm sure Marvel in like 20 years will finally do the Dark Phoenix right. You know what I mean? It'll happen.
They could.
I just feel just leave it to bed. There's so many other X-Men storylines. I'm almost like, don't even bring in Jean Grey. You know, there are other characters. You have to bring in Charles Xavier because otherwise they're not the X-Men. But, you know, Wolverine, Jean Grey, even Cyclops, obviously Quicksilver's been done. Just put them aside. There are plenty of others.
Here.
Yeah.
Let's have a more comic book accurate Wolverine and not Hugh Jackman version 2.0.
Yeah.
Because 100% that's what they're going to do. If they can't get Hugh Jackman to do this, they will just get another tall and burly man to be kind of like Hugh Jackman.
I could kind of see them actually doing a comic accurate, like short but buff, though.
Because
Marvel, if there's something Marvel do well, it's their casting. You know, if like they are great at casting.
I think this is way overdone, but everybody's like Tom Hardy Wolverine. I'm like, I will take Tom Hardy Wolverine. Give it to me now.
Yeah. He's an excellent example, but I'm sure there's someone like a B-lister, because what else Marvel does well is they take B-listers and C-listers and then make them into like A+ listers, you know? And so I can see them finding someone who maybe is on a TV show or has been a bit part in a few different things and making them even a skinny person that they could like mold into their perfect Wolverine, you know?
Like
I can see
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who's this guy?
To be fair, he had literally 6 weeks prep. Like,
there you go. Now, shifting gears though, back to scores. So say that you're sitting down to listen to a score. What's that score going to be?
My favorite score is from one of my very favorite movies that no one's ever heard of. And I think I did talk about this in our last one, which is Perfect Sense. The score by Max Richter, who has since done movies like Mary, Queen of Scots, Ad Astra, for example. Yeah, the score is beautiful. There's no other word for it. It's evocative. I would almost say it's like the one from Interstellar, but not. It's not as obviously intense and like, you know,
bombastic.
Bombastic. That's the word, as Interstellar. It's more, you know, quiet and about obviously the relationship and stuff. And there is a couple of specific tracks that I listen to all the time. I really recommend checking it out. It's kind of like if you took like Ramin Djawadi and like, you know, the Interstellar score and, you know, some Michael Giacchino scores and kind of like put them together into more quiet indie version. That's kind of what you're getting here. But yeah, it's great. And it is on Spotify, the Perfect Sense soundtrack. So score. So I do recommend it.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
And now here's a fun one. My last question for you, Alice, is what's the one thing you wish movies would stop doing?
Well, I'm going to alter that a bit and say movie trailers, because I'm sure that there are so many things I could say that, you know, have been said, people know, but I am sick of movie trailers. Like the stupid 4 seconds before the trailer starts where it's like, trailer starts now. And then it's got the clips that I'm literally going to see in 6 seconds anyway. I don't get the point. What's the point of it? It's so stupid and it angers me, and then it distracts me for the first however many seconds of the actual trailer. I think they need to go. And with that, it would be nice if there was for, you know, big superhero or like action trailers, if they tried a different format other than like, we didn't realize what would happen. Ding! And then, you know, that format, and then it's also then sometimes like a song that they've seriously slowed down into like 0.25, and you know it's now a slow version of it, like we're on the highway to hell, ding, how are we gonna get out of this? Like I see that happening. I legitimately see that happening. So I'm just, you know what was a good trailer recently? The Last Duel. Didn't get marketed anywhere, but the actual trailer was fascinating. And so that
and how they cut the music in it too, like where it was starting to go like and it was like amping up, and like even from the trailer I could tell how intense that duel was going to be at the end of the movie. I'm just like, and then I saw the movie and I'm like, this is brutality.
I know, and that's what I mean. That's a perfect trailer because it also accurately represents the film. So I just think we need to just scrap the template and start again.
And they even hit the fact that Ben Affleck plays like a douchey, like bro prince dude.
I know, which
like,
I'm sure
you never would have
like,
got that from the trailer.
Yeah.
Besides his haircut.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all you kind of needed. You know?
Yeah. Well, and that is, I remember when that trailer came out, and like I heard a lot of people complain about the marketing of the film and stuff like that for it failing. And I'm like, but that trailer was great.
The trailer was great. They just didn't market it. They like released it on like YouTube and like IMDb, and then that's it. And I'm like, that would have gotten people in seats. What are you doing? Pay more for your campaigns. What, like, come on. I know it's Disney and they're like, it's a Fox property. Get it out of the way. But
yeah, F it. Get it the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But my friend Matt and I just did our top 10 video of 2021, and The Last Duel is up there for both of us. And Matt's just like, us millennials watched your movie, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to market it. That's all. You should yell at your marketing team and market it in the correct way. I think
marketed the hell out of House of Gucci.
I know. Oh my God. I think I've seen that trailer 12 times now. You know, like especially the in the name of the Father, the Son, and House of Gucci. It almost makes me not want to watch it, you know?
I was waiting for the part where Jared Leto was going to be like, it's a Mario.
Well, let's not talk about the Chris Pratt Mario that's coming, hey?
They should just get Jared Leto at this point. He just played
Mario. I know. Is it just me? It still shocks me every time that Jared Leto pops up because I'm like, doesn't everybody hate him? Like, and he keeps getting cast in everything. I mean, I've never had strong feelings to him in any way, shape, or form, but you know. But yeah, the house, it's genuinely like, I will see it eventually, obviously, at some point. But that, and then the like, our name, sweetie. I'm just like, okay, well, that
was the thing, because all the actors were in completely different movies.
Yeah.
Like Adam Driver is like in an actual drama thriller here.
Yeah.
And then like Lady Gaga and Jared Leto are in the same movie.
Yeah.
And then Al Pacino's out at one point yelling like Al Pacino can. And I'm just like, that was one of the few moments in the theater where I'm just like, yes, this is what I came for. This is what I wanted.
I'm excited to watch it and let you know my thoughts eventually. But we had to wait till Jan here because Australia distribution sucks sometimes.
There you go. Because I don't know why. Doesn't make any rhyme.
Because we were in lockdown, I think, and so all the movies that were meant to come out between September and like November got like September and November got slammed into September. Like I didn't see Shang-Chi until November, for example. So that was an intense 3 months. It was like Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, like 2 weeks apart. And then we have all these smaller like prestige films always get pushed into Jan, which generally happens, but now it's really happened. So that's why I'm a bit behind. But yeah. But yes.
Yeah, House of Gucci isn't one to be like, oh my God, I have to go out and see House of Gucci.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I know.
It felt that. Last Duel, to me, didn't feel like 2.5 hours. House of Gucci, though, sure did.
I'm kind of mad that that's the one that's getting all the like, ooh, Oscar buzz. I'm like, Last Duel is so much. I haven't even seen House of Gucci, but I know that Last Duel is the better of the two.
So I do have to say this though: if Jared Leto does get nominated for Best Supporting Actor, that'll be the first Oscar nom for a video game character, right?
Maybe, probably. He could. I mean, he's already on some lists.
He is Mario.
Yeah, I know. The hate crime against Italians.
And then they just made it worse by casting Chris Pratt as
Italian
plumber Mario.
I literally saw that. I was just like, why didn't you just cast the guy that does the Mario voice? It's an animated film, isn't it?
Like obviously they wanted to get a whole bunch of famous people, and I'm down for Jack Black Bowser.
I'm down for Jack Black as Bowser. Exactly. That is all I needed. That's the only name you needed.
Also, is Donkey Kong gonna smoke weed?
I know. So we're just gonna have a and then like a throwing of a barrel. Yeah, exactly.
I know what all those barrels are filled of.
Just yeah,
Marijuana.
that's the smoke coming out of it. Yeah, that's why Mario's seeing the like neons.
There you go. Now, how I always like to wrap this up is having my guest ask me a question. So, Alice,
Ooh.
what's a question you would like to ask the Wasteland Reviewer?
Ooh. I didn't know that because you just wrote wild card and I was like, ooh, what's
I know what
that?
that
Okay.
means.
Yeah. You know what that means. Not all of us do. That's a great question. Oh, here's one. If you could bring back any actor that has since passed, but would have to swap them for an actor that is currently alive, what is the choice you would make?
Oh, no. See, that just took it a whole other level. Who would I pull dark magic with to replace lives? Oh, because it's fresh in my mind, I would bring back Alan Rickman because we have not gotten enough Alan Rickman in life.
Yeah.
And who would I send back? Who would I send to the void? Oh, no.
It's a devil's deal.
It is, really.
Faustian.
Who do I want to stop seeing in movies? At least send their career to the void.
Yeah. Look, I'll be nice. Send their career to the void. They'll never make a movie again.
Oh, this is a tough one. Who's somebody? You know what? This is going to sound really mean. I could pick a variety of Adam Sandler gang people. I'm just going to say like Rob Schneider. Because
that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know if I need to see Rob Schneider in anything anymore. Surprisingly, though, Adam Sandler and Kevin James were really missed in the new Hotel Transylvania movie. Just as a side note.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they not in it?
No, they have
They
have two voice actors basically mimicking them. And
because that's what I thought. The trailer just sounds like them. I didn't realize that. Oh, goodness.
I almost gave the movie an F solely because he does not once say, I don't say blah, blah, blah. Because that's like half the reason why you go see these movies.
That's so true. That's so true.
It's fine. It's a fun little movie. But yes, I would say probably Rob Schneider so we could get Alan Rickman back.
Yeah, that's a very fair deal. That's fair.
Sorry,
I don't even
Rob
think
Schneider,
Rob.
can't make any
I don't
more
think Rob
movies.
would.
When does Alan Rickman come back then?
Immediately. It's like an immediate switch, and then he can just be in things again, and it'll be nice.
We need to go like sneak into the chilling adventures of Sabrina and be like, do your thing. Make this happen.
Oh goodness. I'm still watching Riverdale and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Because I've committed this long. I just need to see how it ends.
That's always an interesting question. What's a show that you're like,
yeah,
I should have bailed out of this like seasons ago, but like I didn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I was binge watching The Office, I really wish that I just ended when Michael Scott left.
Oh, when Michael left? Really?
Well, actually, you know what?
There are some good episodes. Like Will Ferrell's really funny.
I take that back. Yeah. Because James Spader as Robert California was at least worth a handful of those episodes. It's like,
exactly.
I am the Lizard King.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I want to root for Andy? I think I just enjoy underdogs.
Yeah.
He's worth it. Okay. After the last season, just don't watch it and just watch the finale.
Yeah, the finale's really good. Yeah, that's fair. I still enjoy it, but I'm an Office slut, so like I love that show so much.
I do follow the Office fan page on TikTok, so I could just watch endless clips of The Office all the time.
Exactly. I still think Dwight and Jim hold it above the water. They're like dynamic. Not Jim and Pam because they decided to do that stupid like, will they get divorced storyline? But
why?
Just because they're like, well, they're too happy. We can't have a couple be happy, because apparently that's not allowed.
The cold open of Asian Jim was one of the funniest things ever.
And it introduced us to Randall Park.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure when I watched Ant-Man versus the Wasp with Jess, she's like, is that Asian Jim?
Yeah. What a career he had. Asian Jim to Kim Jong-un to Fresh Off the Boat to Jimmy Woo.
And just imagine how much bigger that would have been if the interview actually released.
I know. Although I feel like everyone saw it out of spite. So it might have been a brilliant marketing strategy, really.
Probably was.
Yeah.
Give it to them. But Alice, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming back on, and hopefully, and let's try not to do another year later. We'll have you back on for another time. But I know we'll be on the SiftPop Writers Room talking about the 2021 Oscars. And now I'm very excited because I want to hear what you have to say. After
so many thoughts.
So many thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about the actual ceremony. I could talk about that.
That's what I mean. So many thoughts about the ceremony.
All I have to say is poor Joaquin Phoenix. You should not have been put in that position. Poor man with social anxiety. How could they?
I don't think any of them should have been put. That was, let me just say, it was the funniest Oscars I've ever seen, but not for the right reasons.
Let's just say Questlove being like, and we're out, was like, good for him for picking up on how awkward that was and just being like, time to wrap up.
Yep. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. But yes, I'm very excited. People should tune in. It's going to be, like I said, probably 4 hours of us ranting and raving.
It's going to be too much.
That's actually a great idea. We should tell Aaron that.
We might have to. But Alice, before we wrap up, I'll let you shamelessly plug whatever you'd like to shamelessly plug again, because we're all about self-promotion.
Absolutely. Yeah, but again, find me on Instagram and Letterboxd at AliGMich, M-I-C-H, and Ali G, like, you know, the Sacha Baron Cohen character, ALIGMICH in full. Apologies. That's my puppy you can hear woofing because he's playing apparently and has decided, no, you've been on here too long. But otherwise, like I said,
at the door.
Yeah, but otherwise, you can find my monthly column on SiftPop.com and reviews on there regularly. And then, of course, on the podcast, SiftPop and SiftPop Writers Room. So check me out on any of those.
Awesome. Thank you, Alice. And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.